and welcome once again to Japan Expert Insights. And we have a great guest for today. Jeffrey Rowe is in the studio, or virtually speaking, I should say, because we're all in our own little cubicles, our little little parts of the world. I'm, of course, reporting live from Chicago. And Jeffrey, you're out in Okinawa. And
Okinawa.
Yeah, and Maya's, of course, in Tokyo. So as we're waiting a couple minutes for everybody to come in, last week I had a lot of fun, actually. I got to be one of two MCs at the Japan Festival here in Chicago, which was actually in Tsuke. And so I got a chance to be a part of the Batsu show, not really be a part of it, not like they asked me to be a part of it. I got to be a victim/volunteer. It's sort of like Whose Line Is It Anyway, but a Japanese kind of like Takeshi's Castle take on it. So willing to, get shocked by a dog collar, I was able to promote the festival, and we put that on Instagram. And I got a chance to MC the second half. It was really rainy and scary the first half, but then it was beautiful on the second half. So many great vendors. And a shout out to the three organizations. Well, obviously the Japanese Chamber of Commerce, who was there, and they have an event tomorrow night here in Chicago if you're around. But the Chicago Japanese Club, the Japanese American Society of Chicago, and the Japanese American Service Committee here also in Chicago. And they all had booths, and they just did a wonderful job. It was really great. I hope you guys get to go next year. If you're in town, Jeffrey, I mean, you guys are really in Japan. So I don't know if you'd actually go all the way to Chicago to do a Japan festival. You live and breathe it every day. So, there's
maybe it depends if you're emceeing or not.
That's true.
We'll make a decision based off of if you're running the show.
Yeah, well, let's see if they bring me back next year, because we had to do a lot of ad-libbing that second half, because when the rain came, everybody's schedules were getting mixed up, and they're like, Mike, run with it. So I went into this. I had to promote the Toho toilet, and I basically, and it was
Toto?
What I said.
Toto?
Yeah, because
Toto?
Yeah, the Toto toy. Yes, the Toho. Sorry, my bad. And so I got a chance to promote it, and I did say that it was everything they say about Japanese toilets. It's true. I never felt more loved or cared for than in a Japanese bathroom. Like, I stopped going to therapy after using Japanese bathrooms. I'm good. So
it helps.
Toto right there.
You import one to Chicago and set it up for yourself and your parents in the office. Is it hardcore Toto?
We actually have one in the office that I'm in right now, actually. So nice. It's really nice. Yeah. Well, it's the seat, because they have the full. Wow, this is going. Where are we going with this? This is like the most interesting 2-3 minute filler we've ever done. But needless to say, if you can get your hands on one, they are so choice.
I think this is a good leeway into what we're going to be discussing today. But like literally earlier today, you're talking about these Toto, the Japanese toilet, how it can have this life-changing type of experience for a lot of people. And I'm not sure if anybody has seen this, but there's an episode of South Park where they go into the Japanese toilet and it sucks the characters in. So I don't want to ruin it for anybody. It's really, really great, really, really funny. But I literally this morning was looking at the creators of South Park, even though they've been trashing the deals that's been happening right now with Skydance and Paramount. They signed like a $1.5 billion streaming rights deal for their series. With Paramount Plus, and it just goes to show the impact that the Japanese toilet can have.
Exactly.
Right.
We're already Japanese toilets. South Park and politics. We are opening this show hot.
Yes, lots of soft power there.
Yes, lots of hot, soft power.
Yeah.
There's always a connection. That's all it is. There's always a
Exactly.
connection. You can always connect everything to the Japanese toilet.
Pretty much. It all literally goes full circle. Anyway, so we have Jeffrey Rowe in the house today.
How's it going, everyone?
Doing good. So I knew would say, obviously, you're the founder of Mirus Pictures, but I mean, you're an actor. You've been in a lot of shows. You're a producer. You wear a lot of hats, as most producers do.
Sure.
So right off the bat, what we always like to ask is why do you do what you do? Why do you love doing what you do? And how did you get started in this in the first place?
Man, all sorts of questions.
I know, it's really, we're jumping headfirst into this today.
How I got here. I mean, how about we go back to where I'm from, I guess. I grew up on a small island on the east coast of Canada called Prince Edward Island, known for the Anne of Green Gables literary series. Shout out to any Islanders that are listening in. I grew up a hardcore athlete, but I fell in love with film and TV early on. My grandfather's first cousin actually was a really well-known actor in Hollywood and an athlete. His name was Chuck Connors from The Rifleman.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a very big influence on my family. Everyone was just so proud of being connected to Chuck Connors, even though it's one door down. But I kind of feel like my journey has been non-linear. There's no straightforward way I can say. I got that love of film and TV through American film and television. Like in Canada, we are greatly inspired by what you guys produce. And of course, there's lots of Canadian content, but I would say 80 to 90% of the stuff that we end up absorbing as viewers and audiences is the stuff that comes out of the United States. And so I've always felt like we are almost one country in a way, although of course there are differences between the two countries. But
especially these days. But yes, I will take it.
Yeah, I've always felt so close to the American, the American person, the American journey, the American dream, like all that different stuff. I thought, if I see of course, there's a lot of Canadian actors who find their way into Hollywood or international productions and whatnot and build their names. And I just kind of say, why not me? So I end up moving from that athlete sort of stuff, a little bit of interest in theater, go through university for the regular type of degree program in business, finance, marketing, like this sort of stuff. My dad was a teacher, but he ran businesses, so I was interested in business. In the acting stuff, started in drama class in high school and things like this, and ended up into community theater and whatnot, Shakespeare and Arthur Miller and this and that. But I ended up moving down to Australia when I was in university through an exchange program at my school because I was an athlete. And that changed me. That changed the course of who I was and where I was going. And I ended up kind of really opening the door for the entertainment industry through film. Within the first month of me being in Australia, I was there to go to school, but I realized I got lots of time between classes and stuff, and I was recruited into an acting and a modeling agency. Started doing more acting for film, TV, commercials type of workshops with this agency. And then my first audition I went to was a film that was headlined by Joel Edgerton, who's a known name now, was really well known in Australia at the time, Portia Del Rossi, and Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper was playing Frank Sinatra in this film that the Aussie studios were trying to take to the world. I don't know if it ended up going to the United States or not, but at the time it was called The Night We Called It a Day. I think they may have changed it for the title for the international release later on. But that film, I was on set, first audition for a film, on set for like 2.5, 3 weeks, every single day, seeing how it was done. And I realized, wow, like this is some incredible stuff. The way that a story is being told. I was watching everything that was happening behind the scenes. I was kind of, even though I literally had one line, I was a journalist that was kind of talking to the promoter of Frank Sinatra, who was running into some problems. That was played by Joel Edgerton. And I got to ask my one line. I have yet to see the film, but it opened my world to film, television, entertainment, and I haven't stopped since. I've basically been full time in the entertainment industry as an actor, as a voice actor, and eventually started making short films with the people that I knew wherever I was, and I've been doing that for the course of the last, I guess, 20 years.
You know, it's funny when you talk about the roundabout way of doing things. That seems to be the case for most people in this business. It's not. It's almost like it's unusual to be usual.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose you. I mean, I would say most people who go into the industry via the acting route are just being told no, no, no by everybody around them. You'll never be able to survive. You know, it's really tough. Like, but you've probably heard of the book "The Obstacle Is the Way," or just the way that Marcus Aurelius and you know, these old time philosophers, Stoics, basically lived their life. I think that the way that you find who you are and the way that you figure out how to do things, accomplish things in life, is by facing those obstacles head on. You figure the way over, around, under, through, and that can take you anywhere in life. It's not just about, you know, the entertainment industry, but the facing of rejection every single day is an incredible way to, you know, craft yourself, your character, to build resilience and gratitude and all of those things that you can then bring into your every single waking moment. So I would say for anyone who wants to get into acting or the entertainment industry, yes, there will be challenges, and therein lies the opportunity. So that's kind of how I felt like, even though at the time going through challenging times of figuring out how you're going to pay rent, how you're going to go from here to there, whatnot, when you figure that out and you accomplish those things that you never thought you'd be able to accomplish, you can look back at all those linearly. You can look back and say, oh man, this led to this, which led to this, which led to this, and here I am today. So I know earlier you were asking how it is, why it is I do what I do inside of the industry. All I have really ever wanted to do was to share a good story with the world, to help people feel, laugh, cry. Hopefully, not too many screams, but that could come in the future. Just in general, to touch someone, to touch them deep within their mind or within their heart. And every single film that I have produced, made up to this point, I feel like has been able to do that. And I wanted to, I guess, help inspire, educate others that are listening in how they might be able to do the same thing if they're interested in the entertainment industry whatsoever, not just in Japan, but really anywhere.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you said about the non-linear path that everybody has to walk through and take. And sometimes it feels like you're going back, right? And sometimes it feels like you're going down. But at the end of the day, all these experiences help to figure out what you can do and what your next step can be. So thank you very much for mentioning that. And do you think that people need to be of a certain personality or a certain character to persist? I'm sorry, this is a little bit of point here, but still, because it's easier said than done, right? Yeah, you have to persist and you have to never give up and so on. But have you noticed through your experiences that there is a certain type of character that is more likely to succeed than other?
I kind of feel like you never want to put oneself in a box. You never want to say that I am this person, because you can change who you are with the changing of your habits. So I'm not sure that I would say that the thing that you need to consider is, in all instances, is the mindset that you take to whatever it is that you do. If you go into something telling yourself that it's not possible, I can't, it's not something that I would do, then you're not going to try and you're not going to do it. But if you convince yourself that other people have done it before, I can try, I can learn, I can do, you can be generally positive about that thing that you wish to accomplish, whether it's making a film or learning how to cook or to speak a different language. You will then spend the time to work at it. And it's, basically, I'm sure we all know that anything that you say, it basically can manifest itself. So if you say that you can do something, you can do it. It might take time, it'll take trials and tribulations, but eventually you'll figure out a way of doing it. You might not become an expert in that thing, so that's fine. You get to a point where you can do something. You can then look back and say, I used to say I could never do that thing, right? And then you get there. So it's the same thing on the other side. If you say, I can't do this, I can't speak Japanese, I'll never be able to do this thing, I can't make a film by myself, it's impossible, then you're not going to try, and you're not going to look at what are the actual steps required. It's not speaking a language or making a film is up here, and then you go from here, which is at the beginning of it, and then you just jump straight to here. If you tell yourself that somebody else has done it before me, so perhaps I just need to figure out what are the steps that are from here to there, and then I can figure out a way to getting to that point. That's how I think the mindset is key to being able to change who we are, what it is that we think that we can do in this existence on this planetary plane.
Now, you started as an actor, correct? That was what you first did, or no? What would you say was your first entryway to this?
I started as an athlete. I never thought that I would become an actor when I was up until I was in my early 20s. I happened upon it. So I realized when you can. I basically failed at becoming a professional athlete. So I had this backup thing happen to me, that the universe threw me this opportunity with this acting and modeling agency, in which I had been curious about acting in theater and Shakespeare and whatever from high school, and made some short films with friends and whatnot in university. But it was never something I thought I'm going to become an actor. Why? Because basically everyone around me up to that point in my life said there's no possible way you can survive and live life as an actor on that little island, Prince Edward Island, that I grew up in, because the only opportunities are in the summertime. The only theater performances are in the summertime where I'm from. So you can't easily survive being able to pay rent and to have a family if you're just an actor. And also, there's not that many roles for so many people who want to become a part of these theater shows and whatnot. So a lot of that's a limiting belief. But it's simply rooted. There's no film and television industry, and it's only I think May until say September sort of theatrical performance possibility as actors. So I get it. I get why parents and other people say it's not possible to do that thing that you wish to do. But what happens when you leave that place?
Right.
Right? What happens when you go to the big city?
Yes. Yeah.
For me, the big city was steps. It was from Prince Edward Island to this smaller college town in New Brunswick, the University of New Brunswick, where I went to basically just focused on playing soccer and just having fun. But in being a student athlete, opportunities arise, and I got to speak with and watch all sorts of like fully focused athletes, and everybody wants to become a professional athlete when you get to that level, right? University, college level. the next step, the next stage is becoming a pro. So I played against all sorts of pros. I think maybe one or two guys that I played with over the course of my university career ended up becoming a professional. But I always thought in my mind, I'm going to become a professional athlete. That's how I'm going to earn income. It's not going to be this finance, economics, marketing stuff that I'm doing on the side over here in school. That won't lead me anywhere. And wasn't thinking at all about the entertainment industry or acting until the university student athlete getting decent marks opened a door for me to go to Australia on an exchange program. And me going down there, within the first 2 weeks, I met these interesting, cool people who were in this agency, and they were looking for a North American voice. So a door opened there.
Right. Yeah.
They basically it was, we're looking for North American voice. We have these workshops if you've never been in TV or film before, and you can come in and it's literally, free for any actors that they develop and things like that, and then they take kind of 15% from anything that you bring in. So it was very straightforward for me, and I said, okay, I'll try this thing. And as I said, I literally, the first audition I went to, I booked, and after that, I was making money as an actor while going to school, and I was also training at the same time with a local semi-professional team, and I'm getting beat up like every single week. Beat up. Like guys are going for my ankles, going for my knees. And then I'm going to these auditions and expressing myself and learning how to feel and show these things to the camera and all this. Within 2 months, I was like, I said, I'm hanging up my boots. It's not what I want to do anymore. I'm making money from this other thing. I'm not making money from putting my body and my mind through this. Again, the obstacle is the way. I in hindsight, I probably should have continued to try for that semi-professional soccer team, because it may have led somewhere else. But I was only thinking, this is making me money. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I'm meeting cool people. Dennis Hopper looked me in the eye and shook my hand. Holy SHIT. That's what really gave me the bug, and it hasn't left me ever since.
So obviously, when we talk about this path that you've taken, and you've accumulated a lot of knowledge, I think one of the things when we talked about when we did a little pre-tape was we were saying, hey, I know how to do this. I've learned hands-on. So one of the things that we always approach our podcasts like from a different angle, so to speak. So there's every guest we have offers a unique opinion and an insight. And in your case,
amazing guys. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you. So all you guys, I just throw softballs for you guys to hit. So for fun, we're going to do something a little different. So as people know, I have a screenplay. So let's say I want to make a screenplay. I want to make a movie in Japan.
Yep.
Where do I start? And we were talking, I said, well, there's a playbook, but it's a loose playbook, but you have all this insight. And you're like, I'll talk about it. Well, I can't think of anything more appropriate for this show than to talk about that type of knowledge. So right off the bat, where do we begin in this conversation?
I would say that there's probably 3 different paths to how you could potentially take a story in and get it made. It doesn't necessarily have to be just in Japan. I think this idea can be told universally. Most people think that you write that script and then you attach a producer, and then the producer will do the job of finding the money and all this stuff, and maybe you hope to find one angel investor that will come on board and will basically be the way that you can fund the entire thing. And so a lot of script writers that I've met over the course of the last 20 years, will will share a script, a story with you, and you'll kind of look at it and figure out, is that in my wheelhouse as a producer? Is it something that I feel like it resonates with me? Is it in the right sort of budget range? Because everything that I produce is a progression. It's you start with those short films, and then you get to that $100,000 kind of feature film, and then you make your way up to the $1 million feature film, which I'm kind of at now. And after that, you explore, are you going to go higher than that? Because the further you go, the more challenging it is for the in the distribution phase to recoup for your investors and things like this. So it's just that's how people imagine it can be, and that's not necessarily the way that it's going to happen.
Right.
I think the easiest way to figure the way to getting it is to workshop your script. So you can take your script to all sorts of film festivals, and when you're at the film festivals, you will basically get feedback on the script. You will be networking with producers and sales agents and distribution companies, and maybe if you're not going to be a writer director, with directors that are participating inside of these film festivals. So a path to as a writer in getting your project to a green light in the traditional sense is through workshopping, and that workshopping process can take a year, it can take 3 years, but by the time you get to let's say your 10th workshop of taking that same script, everybody in the industry that participates inside of the film festivals and these workshops, labs, will have gotten to know you. They'll have gotten to know if you're a nice human being, you're lovely to be around, to work with, and they'll help you understand how you can craft a budget around that particular story, how you can attach talent, how you can do a part of the work of finding money. Finding money is not necessarily actually cash. Finding money to get your story done can come in many forms. It can come in grant applications. It can come in sponsors, right? Like literally in-kind sponsors. If you're making a story about Osaka, then maybe you go, what are the places inside of my story that can highlight Osaka as a destination for tourism, or like any way that you can, or a destination for anything that can, a product or service that can be purchased. You can find a way to ask people for small amounts of in-kind benefit to your production. And you don't necessarily have to have huge names or anything like that attached to your story. If it's a small company, literally mom and pop shop that's operating inside of that particular place, you go straight to them and you introduce yourself as a human being and say, I love what it is that you do here at your XYZ company, and say, I'm making this film about this area, and if there's any interest in having your company or brand inside of it, if there's any way that we can collaborate, we can. Some of those companies will say, yeah, man, I'll give you, what do you need, right? And you just figure out what it is you need. So if you know that you need hotels and vans and food and clothing, like for stylists, and art, your art department is going to have needs. You figure out all that stuff that you need, and then I'm especially talking about, this is your first short film or your first feature film. You've got to do this. This is so important in being able to save cost, and almost everybody that you talk to is going to have some interest. If you're talking to the owner, the manager of a store, of a business, they'll be curious. Hey, how can I get involved? How can I help you? Number one, especially if they know you, they like you, or you keep going back to them, or you're a customer of that place, or whatever. It makes it easier, right? But that is how I almost always tell people, figure out first inside of your story where you can save. Go out to the place that you live and knock on doors. And I know, Maya, earlier you were saying, how can somebody who is not this type of character change? Well, they can do it by forcing themselves to do the things that they don't want to do. That's the obstacle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The obstacle,
Right. Yeah.
is the way to get the thing done. So after you've figured out, you've got all of this in-kind support. Let's say that helped you wipe out 10% of the money you thought you needed. All right. While you were doing that, it might take you 2 months, it might take you 6 months. While you're doing that, I'm not saying quit your day job, ladies and gentlemen. I'm saying
Right. Yeah.
while you're doing your day job, to think about these things as a first time or second time or third, maybe even third time feature filmmaker. You go out, you be a human being, you approach people who have products or services, and then you find a way to getting a part of your budget covered. Then while all that's happening, at the same time, you look around for all of the soft money, which is grants, tax credits, whatnot, that happen to be in that particular area. So let's say you want to shoot in Osaka, but Osaka doesn't have any sort of tax credit, that the city itself, they won't give you any tax credit or support. Of course, there's a locations support group down there that you can approach, the film commission. You can talk to them and say, I want to shoot here, and can you help me figure this stuff out? They'll introduce you to possible places. Most of those places are going to be places that expect to be paid for the use of their to show their company or whatever it is, locations, right? But if you find a local friendly fixer and or producer, they may be able to help open those doors up in a place that you don't live. Of course, my guidance here for that first time filmmaker is, hopefully you're shooting that thing in the place that you live. But if you're like Michael and trying to do something ambitious, you can probably use advice where you find a friendly local person who can, and you can ask them, could they possibly go out and talk to, if you have already the information about the locations, the types of background that you want to be shown and seen inside of your story, and get that local person to go out there and be your ambassador for this thing, they might be able to come back with something. You never know. But anyway, I'm going back to just, if you're making your film in your hometown, once you've figured out all of the in-kind stuff, you've applied for all the grants, you've applied for and figured out if you can get a tax credit, that is when you can go to a producer like me with a package. And you can say, I'm producing this, I've written, maybe I want to direct, I'm basically self-producing this particular thing. Would you like to align with me on this project? I have 10% of a set budget that's going to be through in-kind related stuff. I have 30% that's going to be gotten through grants and through tax credits. And now I'm looking for the last, whatever it is, 50, 60%. The 50, 60% approach makes it so much easier for a producer to then be able to make something happen. But even if you have 10, 20, 30% figured out before you go to a producer, it just makes things so much simpler. It's figuring out the last piece of the financing of a film that is what a producer does best. So a producer can then take a project that's in their wheelhouse, that's in the genre that they like to produce, that's in that budget range that they are aiming to produce, and they can take it to the film markets, they can take it to their network, and find a way to get the rest of that financing. The way to get to the rest of that financing, if you go the traditional way, is to find some sort of bankable name that can then help to bring the pieces together. So, and a producer often has the contacts and the know-how to be able to attach that name. Of course, the project has to be interesting, and the script has to be darn good and whatnot. But the way to understanding how the market moves is that every single A-list, B-list, C-list, D-list, all the way down, actors have some sort of value that's attached to their name as leading actors for the films that they're in. So if you can kind of come to a producer already with some of the work already done, you give yourself a way better chance to be able to do it. Most producers do not want to be, they're so busy developing and working on their own projects. It's really challenging. I literally am booked until 2028, right? I have my theatrical release. I mean, right behind me. I don't know if you guys can see. There's a couple.
Yeah,
We're going to talk about those in a minute,
So,
actually.
We'll talk about those in a minute. So, like this one right here. Sorry, right here is in theaters now. It was at the Cannes Film Festival a couple months ago. In theaters in Japan, I should say. Looking at international releases. Lovely little film, directed Renoir, directed by Chie Hayakawa. Anyway, I'll get into this stuff in a little bit when you say. This film is coming out in September. We're working really hard to that, and this other film is also in theaters right now, which I co-produced. So it's nonstop in the theatrical prep promotion, and at the same time we are also developing. So I see opportunities in where I can take my next projects, but I'm not even done of I didn't tell you all the other ways that in 2025 you can get to a green light for your film or your TV series project. So I'll continue on there before I get into anything that I'm doing.
Yeah, because it's interesting you mentioned money, because that's the one thing a lot of writers don't realize. They think I got a script, let's go. But it's like, no, if it helps, if you already have like some seed money or you have like some things already lined up, and that's hypercritical. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yep. I mean, I think the most important thing, if you really want to get your name out there as a writer, is to write something which is easy to produce in the genre that you like, and figure out what that means. Every single thing that's on the page is a cost to a production. So if you can kind of figure out if you're like the jet bomber blows up, and runs into the helicopter and blows up. There's a cost associated with that. So if you can imagine and every single time, I think a lot of people know this one, but every single time you move locations, there's a cost. There's an opportunity cost, and then the actual cost of moving from one place to another. The production shuts down, and there's the time in between the places and whatever, and all that stuff is related to cost of a production. So if you can make your first feature film into something that is limited locations, it doesn't have any big explosions or needs VFX to make it into the complete story, then myself as a producer, I can go, okay, I can see how we'd be able to make this for under $1 million or whatever, and under $1 million, maybe even 100,000 to 300,000, like somewhere in that range, you can find a lot of producers who can make those types of films happen. But just be aware that the market shifts. The market changes over time. The overall market for what it is that people like and what they want to watch. Every single time you go to the film markets, it almost feels like things are a little bit different from the last time. So you got to just pay attention to that stuff. And when you pay attention, hopefully you have one or two or three different projects that you can then introduce to people that are slightly different or that are cross genre type of stories. And then that will open a door for you, because the last few years has very much so gone away from drama and comedy. A lot of the stuff that I see and hear being greenlit and brought to market, and then getting the final pieces of their financing are genre films. And I was chatting with some producer friends after the Cannes film market a month and a half ago, and they said that that's changing now. So I I think you just have to keep your ear to the ground, but that's as important for a producer as it is for a writer. Just pay attention to reports that are coming from the major markets, and if they're saying that, oh, everybody's buying this particular genre or this cross genre type of thing, maybe see if you can adapt to what you have and have it a multi-genre type of project. So I don't know exactly where I was leading with that, but just getting back, that the traditional way of being able to finance your project is taking it to the producer. The new kind of way, I would say, as a writer or a director, writer-director, is to try to find some piece to the financing. That could be Aunt Lucy that just happens to want to support you, and she'll give you 5% of your budget for your film. But all of that helps, and if you put in the time to go to the market, go to your local area and find those in-kind sponsors, the potential for grants and or tax credits and whatnot, where it is you want to shoot, you're helping the producer make their job a lot easier. And the last thing is something that I find the most interesting, is that in the last 15, 20 years, the streaming world has basically upended the way that Hollywood used to bring their films and their projects to market, and now it has produced opportunities like we've never really seen before. The industry used to be completely gate kept. It used to be if you don't know someone who knows someone, the chance of you getting your script in front of a producer was about as good as getting hit by lightning, I think, was what they say. And now that you have the opportunity to basically green light yourself with an iPhone, what matters is one thing. It is there an audience for you, your story, or whatever it is that you want to tell? So if there's an audience for whatever it is that you want to tell, you get to figuring out how to reach those people. And once you build it, that audience becomes leverage that you can take to any place that you want to get to a yes, get to a green light. Essentially, you're green lighting yourself. So let's say you're really smart and you make this podcast that's talking about Japan and the entertainment industry and stuff like this, and everybody in the entertainment industry over time. Michael, I know you tried to comment. But,
I know a couple of them. I've heard things.
Let's say that you figure out, you put in the time, and initially organically, people will find you. You'll find you through the creators that you're interviewing. You'll find them through maybe commenting on other podcasters who are either talking about Japan or talking about the entertainment industry or whatever it is. And eventually, over time, of course, it takes time. You'll develop that audience. Now, a year down the road, let's say you have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers on that thing that you create, that you're putting out there to the world, that you've manifested. You can go to all sorts of platforms at that point with, I have this script that I'm looking to make. I have my audience who has decided to help greenlight this thing to the tune of 50%, whatever. Like, you may just be able to leverage the audience in that I have X amount of followers or whatever it is. But people will listen to you. The door will be open for you to come in and talk to producers, production companies, because you, as the creator, own an audience of willing listeners, of willing your content was going to say the content creator, the content absorber. So you have people who will absorb and love your content, et cetera, et cetera. So you can then help to turn that into those eyeballs into bigger and better things. So that's where we are, and that's where I am beginning to play. So I will chat about how I'm going to do that, but I'd like to throw the floor back to you if you have any kind of questions about anything I've said up to now.
We have some comments. I
Sure.
think we have to do that. I have to put my glasses on, or actually, you know what? They won't even help. So Timothy, of course, Langley saying this is a great presentation. He says, I have crazy hair, which honestly, this is way more tame than it usually is. Andrew Goins says, it just gives us a lot of compliments. He'd love to make films in Japan. Dr. Kenneth Pechter says, you're the real deal, Jeffrey. Yeah.
Kenneth Pector, I know that name.
Pector, yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Pector is one of my producer partners.
Yeah.
Shout
He
out.
He gives you a lot of compliments. And so, yes. And I think Isla and Elisa say something. They're just like, just there. We got a lot of comments. So you're a popular dude. I'm just saying.
That's cool. Well, shout out to Mr. Langley. It's been a few years, and I met Mr. Langley maybe 15 plus years ago, and I had a couple of lunches with him, with an old friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, and I have noticed that he's been on the Japan Expert Insights podcast talking about politics as always with Maya.
Yeah.
So looking forward to watching more of your guys' work there. It's awesome to see.
So getting into the segue, let's see here. Yes, I think Elisa says hello from Elisa. Yes, and Isla, like they're saying, it's exactly what I do as an actress, influencer, and producer. So obviously what you're saying is really relating to what everybody's talking about here. Like they're saying, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. So it's nice to have that instant gratification. So
yeah, cool. I see a question
yeah.
there. I see a question there from Andrew. He's asking, are unions such as SAG operating in Japan's
Right.
film?
Good
I'm
question.
pretty sure that the way that SAG does things is you have to sign into their contracts. So if you have an actor that is in the unions, you would still sign their contracts to work in the Japanese production space. But Japan in itself has generally been unionless inside of our industry. Until recently, there is at least one union I've heard that is starting to make some waves, and I'm not a member of that union. I think it's very Japan actors and or I'll have to check on that if it's only actors or not. But just recently, I've seen people kind of promoting it inside of my groups and stuff, but. Japanese projects which are looking to have an international talent that's attached to one of the unions will still sign those union contracts. They'll ask and they'll try to say, can we do it in a non-union way? But I'm pretty sure that anyone who's in a union will push back, and I think that's a good thing, because you will get certain standards that are just not met in the Japanese industry if not. I think that's Isla, by the way. There's a lot of I'm assuming it's Isla. It could be Isla, but I grew up
Isla,
with
sorry. You know what? My eyes,
Islanders.
I'm so old, I can't read. I see the scroll right here, but my eyes are so shot that I can't see these words. So thank you so much, Jeffrey, for kind of doing a little bit of assistant directing there, because
I never realized we had some comments here until just now.
Well, it's funny because for a little technical thing, we have the private chat and we have the comments. A lot of times we default to private chat, and then we go to the comments. We're like, oh my gosh,
there's people listening in. Oh my goodness, it's great.
Yeah.
Yes, it's great.
Thank you all. Shout out to Ken Pector. Shout out to Alyssa Uehara. It's a great actress based in Tokyo. Isla. I'll say Isla. That's exactly what I want to do. Actress, influencer, producer, 1 million followers, definitely opens doors.
Isla.
It is Isla.
Isla. She said Isla?
Isla, yes.
Isla.
Thank you very much for
Thank you,
tuning in.
Isla.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
great.
Isa Cavelli. Thank you. And Lillian
Belly?
Caesars
Sir Belly, maybe?
enjoying the conversation. We're just getting so sucked into this comments feed this time.
All right. Hey,
Well, that's
hey,
what happens when you start with the Toto and then you get to the comments feed. But these are
No,
wonderful
sure.
comments. So, I mean, this is nice. So,
It can go
I
anywhere.
want to, before we get though to get back into it, you have these movies, and I wanted to ask you two things that kind of segue into what your movies are about.
Yep.
Obviously, you've produced a few. So, can you tell us a little bit like what you learned from the movies that you produced? Obviously, because they're now just coming out, and what was there any certain lessons that you would just want to tell everybody? And then tell us a little bit about the films. Like obviously, I think Renoir, and then sorry, I'm blinking here because I'm thinking about the Japanese name and not the real Rules of Living, which by the way, the trailer for that is fantastic. So
we dropped a new trailer, the Japanese trailer for the Rules of Living Japanese theatrical release yesterday. I will pop that into my LinkedIn and my Facebook accounts at some point today. But yeah, I mean, I can start there with Renoir. This lovely little film basically, is it talks about the journey that this 11-year-old character Fuki, she's going through this challenging summer, a summer in which her father has cancer and her mother is struggling to make it all work, and Fuki ends up having a lot of time to herself, and so she wanders a little bit, and that's with the physical and the mental. She watches a lot of TV, and I play this character Jerry, who is a mentalist, and my character is on Japanese television, and I put it out to the audience that each of us has this power within us to be able to give something to the world, and this power for me is that I can do card tricks and kind of levitating stuff, and I inspire Fuki to try to find that power within her, and it's a cute little part of the story. But that film is now in theaters in Japan, nationwide. It's produced by my friends Jason and Eiko Mizuno Gray, and perhaps you should get Jason and Eiko to come on the show sometime. I think that would be a great idea. So directed by the lovely Chie Hayakawa. And Renoir is her second feature film. It's a follow-up to her film Plan 75, also produced by Jason and Eiko-san. That was released, I think, about approximately 3 years ago. I'm not sure exactly if it was 2022, 2023, somewhere in time, and which was just an absolute success in Japan, and it was distributed globally. I think they had theatrical runs in maybe somewhere around 10 markets or something like this, which is great for a mostly Japanese film. And I think that success helped me see the opportunity in taking my stories, which are kind of Japanese and international stories. I've got 1 foot in Japan and 1 foot in the West. I'm trying to share these stories that go beyond. You pull back the layers of the onion, and there's some really interesting stuff that can be found in this country. And through films like Renoir, and through films like Rules of Living, and my other film here, which is called Wakusei Love Song, or Love Song from Hiroshima in English. That film is in theaters now. These films are being told in a way that we feel can resonate both with the Japanese audience and resonate with an international audience. And all 3 of these films are taken to international film festivals and have had some great success. Obviously, Renoir was in competition at Cannes this year. but it's also going to the Melbourne International Film Festival. It'll also be at other major international film festivals over the course of the next probably year. And Rules of Living has also been in 10 or so film festivals up till now, and we're still appearing in more before our Japanese theatrical release here. So it's just we keep on, we put in these stories out to the world, seeing how our audiences react, and we've realized that we found this special point where both a Japanese audience can appreciate, laugh, and smile and feel when they watch these things, and an international audience can too. So it's great to be able to find that space, because it's not an easy thing to accomplish.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's a difficult one, definitely. Yeah. Michael, your mic.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you know what? I was telling them before the show, power's out at my house, so I'm doing this offset. My poor dog's been just not doing well next to me, so it's been quite an episode. But before we get going, we got like a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Is there 3 things like you would say right now, let's say, that are critical that nobody knows if you're going to do a movie in Japan? Because we get a lot of these tips, but you seem to come from a very unique perspective. If you're going to make a movie in Japan, what would you say are the 3 things that people would need to know right away?
The 3 things.
It could be 2 or 3. It could. I'm just saying. It could be, whatever.
Okay. Well, I'll start with there's no tax credit system for small independent productions, so don't try to find that sort of support for your film. Most of the productions here are run through a production committee system. That being said, if you bring a production from overseas to Japan, they're basically going to expect that you have the funding from your side. You might be able to get a little bit from the Japanese market, but basically you have to, if you want to shoot it in this market, you have to bring the financing, the funding with you. But if you have a good package, Japan may be very interested in attaching financing to a project if you have a known name and you have a path to distribution. I see there's a question from Melissa that's asking, how do you make revenue from a theatrical release? The way to make money from a theatrical release is to is mainly, of course, through your ticket sales. The traditional way of recouping a budget of a film is through the theatrical release for the most part. So you have to try. It's the best possible place to make your money back. And I think ticket sales is typically shared. 50-50 with independent cinemas and 70-30 in the cinema's favor for cinema complexes. Sometimes it's 60-40 depending on if your distribution company can negotiate like that. I don't know if that answered all the questions
That answered it really well, actually, because I think the biggest thing I think we came up from you is like you talk about finance, which is something that, it gets talked about in the show a lot, but you really addressed it. Because I think it's important. And there is something, I have heard this, where if you're going to make a movie in Japan, they'd like to see some money up front from the Western side or from your side, wherever, just before they're going to get moving on things.
Yeah. And may I add one more thing? Yes, about the finance, of course. But Jeff said this in the beginning, that the human connection is also very important. In order to get to the financial part or the stage of financing your project, first you need to create the human network that will support you later. And I think that this is way underrated. A lot of people just try to go head first and ask for money and everything, but at the end of the day, it's always very important to create the relationships and the network of people who will be supporting you. And absolutely. I'm sorry, yes, to interject like this, but I do find it that it's really something very little talked about, right? And we need to be aware of this. So networking, and showing up as a human being
Yeah.
is probably the very first step towards being successful in any project. I think it's the same in the entertainment industry, but in every other industry as well.
Yep. Totally.
Jeffrey. Yeah. Well, and obviously, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You got it. Like, that's the thing.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, but there's still challenges. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a producer in Hollywood or a producer in Japan, a producer anywhere, a filmmaker anywhere, a writer anywhere. You still have to face the challenges. I know the hour is up, and I
That's
appreciate.
cool. We can keep going. I mean, we're not on a hard stop, you know.
Okay. All right. So
it's all right.
Let me just continue then in saying I feel like the door is wide open in Japan, like for the creators, and that's the creators of anything. So if you can just put yourself out there and be creating, be talking about that thing that it is that you want to do, you will find your people. And once you kind of build that audience, everything is changed. So the creator economy has basically changed that game. And I don't want people to think you need to take your story to a studio to get it made. I want you to think that you can literally every single day, turn on your iPhone and put it on your face and talk about, who you are, the struggles that you have in creating this thing, and getting people excited about what it is that you're working on. And eventually people are going to talk about it. They're going to share, that you're going to find people that are your people. And over time, you will be able to then build that thing that it is that you wish to build. So you just have to figure out with a clear voice, you have to have a bit of courage, and then you can build that thing. Audiences are global, right? IP is friggin' global. So you don't need to wait to be chosen, from some studio head or whatever. Start creating.
Yeah.
Start creating today, and you will get to where it is. If you have consistency, you will get to where it is that you wish to go. So never in our lifetimes up till now did we have that opportunity. So I just want to help people understand that.
Yeah. Well, I think we came from a generation too where I worked, when you make films, like you had to get a camera. I mean, we didn't have cameras all in our pockets or anything like that.
Yeah.
But what would have done with this technology? But I started off
Yeah.
with cable access, where you had to rent a camera, get a VHS tape, and there was much more mechanical process.
Yeah.
I had a friend whose his dad ran, I think, one of those electronic shops, and so he had the VHS camera, and that's how we shot our first short film. I was chatting with him. This is a guy I've known since I'm like 3 years old. I was chatting him not too long ago, and I was like, "You still got those tapes?"
Yeah, we started with tapes.
Right. I'm
Yes.
curious. I literally remember the first short film that I made with my buddies, like in junior high. I jumped off of a rooftop. It was like a little action film. We had a 4-wheeler that it was great. It was incredible, and we did it on this VHS tape. And I can't remember how we like edited that thing or anything, but I'm kind of curious if those tapes still exist.
I still got a box of them, of all the stuff I worked on when I was in high school and college.
Yeah.
I used to use those machines. Remember, they used to have the big giant machines, those decks, and you had to pop one in, pop another in, and set your ins and outs. It was a very, once again, a mechanical process. But I think that's one of the interesting things, because coming from this generation and realizing now that, yes, I mean, I think they shot, what was it? The recent zombie film, 28 years later, was shot on iPhone 16. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
They say that, but
But is it really? I know it's
no, it is. So it is. It really was shot on, the latest iPhone. But the thing is that they attached like a $50,000 camera lens to the iPhone. So,
Right.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
shot
not
on
really.
an
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
iPhone with no support.
Yeah.
You know, it was shot on an iPhone. As somebody was mentioning this to me, you can shoot on an iPhone. Was that us talking about this? Where there's 3 different lenses that capture the.
No, that wasn't us, but go
So
ahead. Yeah.
it was probably. I think it's the director of this new project that I'm making, Ryan Christopher McGuire. Just a big shout out! It's his birthday today. Happy birthday!
Happy
Bud.
birthday! Yeah.
We're working on this new series called Tokyoites, which I will share more information bit by bit here on LinkedIn and Facebook and anywhere else that you can find me over the course of the next few months. But basically, we are taking this story about the city, going into the cracks of the city, and we're going to be showing Tokyo and its fun and interesting characters in a way that people have never really seen before. So I hope that excites people. It definitely excites us. So Ryan was telling me that this new lenses on the iPhone could get all depth that you
All
need.
right.
They can
Okay.
shoot. They can literally. You can shoot everything, but then in when you're editing it,
You
it's.
can choose what to leave and cut out.
I don't know the exact process for doing that, but when 28 years later we're shooting, I'm sure if they would still be using like a focus puller and stuff like that, right? Is my assumption. Now there
Right.
could be a way to use those lenses and not have to do that, which is kind of it's technology. Like that stuff is super interesting. But
Yeah.
it's amazing what you can do these days with something that fits in your darn pocket. Like, right?
Right.
Yes.
Lucky to be alive in 2025, where you literally have the ability to find your audience for whatever it is that you want to be known for and share with the world, right there in the palm of your hand. So get out there, people. Start creating. That's what I
Start
say.
creating.
Thank you for being
Yes.
on our show. So,
And
all right,
network.
Jeffrey
Create
Rowe,
those, yes, connections.
Yeah.
Go.
thank you so much for being on our show. Thank
Hey,
you.
Thank you.
I am very grateful for the opportunity. It means a lot that that you see me as an expert in stuff that's happening in Japan. I simply want everyone out there to know that it is possible. You can do what it is that you wish to do in film. It doesn't necessarily have to happen just in Japan. It can happen anywhere in your little hometown, and you just have to figure out the steps, and then you can get there.
Right. The world's full of stories, and we need to hear them more than ever. So,
hey, exactly.
Thanks, Jeffrey. All right. Well, thanks again for everybody tuning in to Japan. Oh, thank you, everybody. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Rules of Living, September 19th, in theaters now.
Excellent. I was going to say, where can they see the boy? Before we go, where can they see these movies?
Lake County, Illinois Film Festival in September. You can see Rules of Living.
Lake County.
Lake County.
Nice.
Not far from Chicago, I heard.
No, it isn't. I'll be there.
Let everybody know. Renoir, I know next is in the Melbourne International Film Festival. Love Song from Hiroshima is going to be in some film festivals here in the fall. I'll have to check. I will continue to post those on LinkedIn. Have a look if you're interested. Thanks so much to everybody who's listening in. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. 2 weeks. We'll see you then.
See you
Cheers,
then.
guys.
Cheers.